Hello, hello. I could not think of a song for the theme of this episode and this topic. So, if you're listening and you have a you have a song that you think ties in with what I'm talking about today, please leave a comment. I'll be sure to shout you out on the next episode, assuming I see it. Normally, I can see Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and we're on multiple platforms, but I'd love to hear from you. And like I said, if you have a song that comes to mind that speaks to this topic, please let me know. I'd love to hear it. Welcome to Answering the Inner Call podcast. I'm your host, Malika Lee. In this episode, we've been on this journey talking about the 5 points of being a spiritual shining star. And I wanted to spend a little bit more time. It came into my spirit to talk about a time when I didn't answer the inner call. And I mentioned before, and in being transparent, it might be a 50-50. I would say maybe skewing a little bit more so of answering the calls. I might be reluctant, but I'll still answer them, as opposed to earlier, when there was so much fear and resistance to the calls and confusion because I didn't understand what was going on. So in this particular episode is a follow-up of answering the inner call. I don't remember what number point it is on the five of the 5-point process of being a spiritual shining star. If you have not heard that episode already, please go back probably 1 episode or 2 episodes and check out that for context. What I'll just say is that answering the inner call is the actionable part of faith, and it involves receiving inspiration and or someone maybe making a request of us. And it's like the call to action on the hero's journey. And then whether as that hero you choose to answer that call or not. That being said, so to get to the story itself, I was working at a job, and the director of the department, basically, we called it voluntold, hashtagging or combining volunteering versus being told. So I was voluntold to teach a women's self-defense class for employees of this organization. And I had never even taken a women's self-defense class, so you may be able to imagine that I did not feel up to the task or capable, or I felt a bit overwhelmed with this assignment and inadequate, to be honest. And so part of the building up my own competency to be able to teach it to others included auditing and taking other women's self-defense classes. So I remember taking a class at the local university, and it was intimate, maybe about 8 to 10 women of various ages taking the class. And one woman, I think, was still a student. This was at University of Washington. She was still a student, and the instructor had us go through one by one, introduce ourselves and why we were there. And I remember from one of the participants telling her story, and if you've heard other episodes, like one of my gifts that I can acknowledge or I have language for now is being an empath. So I could just tell from what she shared and like the feeling I got from her was that this class, she was facing some traumas, because my sense was, and what she alluded to, was experiencing SA, or what people would say sexual assault, of experiencing these things in the past. She didn't overtly say it, but she basically, if you listen close enough, she said it. And so that's why she was coming to this class, to try to heal. She didn't say heal, but she said to figure out why she keeps having these experiences. And so I remember that. And honestly, she's one of the only people I remember from that class. This was many years ago. So the inner call part was at some point, either during a break or after class, I had this inner suggestion to go talk to her. It was just like this really subtle whisper, go talk to her. And immediately I started feeling anxiety. Well, what am I going to talk about? Well, I don't know what I'm going to talk about with this person. What do I even say? All this other stuff just starts like going in my mind, right? Challenging this invitation and or suggestion to go talk to this woman. So I didn't do it. The static on the line was strong. It brought up such anxiety. I didn't do it. And so the class disbands. It must have been the end of class. The class disbands. And it was like a 4-part, it was either a 3 or 4-part class. So we were supposed to come back every week for a couple of weeks. And so I didn't speak to this person. And I remember when I was getting in my car to leave, she literally crosses the street in front of my car. Like, it's not at a corner, not across. She literally crosses the street, and I watch her. And I remember thinking, oh, maybe I should roll down my window and offer if she wants a ride. But then I'm like, she doesn't know me. Would she take a ride from the stranger? But so what did I do? I didn't do it. I didn't roll down the window. I didn't say anything. So I drive home, and generally what happens for me when I don't answer a call, and it's kicked my ass enough times where it's like, you know what? It's just easier to get it over with in the moment and face that discomfort versus the slow burn of the discomfort going on for days or weeks of me beating myself up about it, or, you know, just kind of ruminating on it. And so anyway, I was just like, okay, for the next class, I'm just going to go over and talk to her. And when we get to the next class, this woman did not come back. That would have been our second class. She never came back to finish the rest of the courses. And I remember that sticking with me. Like, she was such a great teacher, and I had to forgive myself of not taking that action to be of service in some way. Even though I didn't know what I would have said, I'm sure I would have been guided. It has been in the case after I've started listening and answering the calls. But that was such a pivotal moment for me of just listening and tearing off the Band-Aid and getting it over with if I get those nudges. Not to say I'm at 100%, but when I get those nudges because of that experience of when I didn't listen and then this woman didn't come back. And the other part of it was that the teacher had not picked up on any of that. And I think especially in dealing with people's experiences where trauma could be involved, like the instructor wasn't tuned into the nuance of that at all, and all that. So it wasn't like the teacher noticed or maybe even had the capacity to support this woman or to even talk to her, bring her to the side. So what I would say now to this woman is just like, wow, the courage that it took. And maybe she got all that she needed. Who knows if I would have gone and talked to her and she still may not have come back the next class. We'll never know because that's not what happened. But what I can say is I acknowledge her courage for showing up and doing some of her work. And I also thank her and bless her for what that opportunity taught me to trust and to listen and to be of service in ways, like, even if I don't know what I'm going to say or anything, but to be more willing to trust that voice and show up in service, which is what led me to doing this episode and really led me to do the podcast. That's terrified me also and was uncomfortable, especially when I was first starting. And yet here we are. And a big catalyst of that is this woman and me not having the courage to do it at that time. So may wherever she is in her life, may she be blessed. May this bless you in some way. And, you know, if you're getting that little nudge to say hello to someone or to offer kindness, it probably would have only been a 30-second conversation. That's the other thing I've noticed. Sometimes the conversation only is 2 minutes, 3 minutes. It doesn't require sometimes a lot of time or energy. And that was one of the things that it took way more energy not doing it and then ruminating and thinking about it afterwards. So I'll just leave that for now. I hope that this has spoken to you in some way, shape, or form and that it's been helpful. I leave you with my love. If no one's told you that they love you today, if no one's reminded you that you are that person, that you have so many gifts, that God wants to use you, that we will be a better world for it, that your family will be better for it, that you will be better for it. I just want to remind you of that today. With all the crazy going on in the world, we need your light, we need your gifts, we need your joy, we need your laughter, we need your peace, and we need you to also please keep doing your work and keep shining. That being said, if you want to better discern and get clarity about what your calls are and what calls are, I do have an online workshop. It's digital download available on the website. I'll leave a link to it in the description. Like I said, these have been lessons and things that I've learned over many years, and it'll save you time so you don't have to go through and learn the hard way like I did. And with that, we're signing off. Bye for now. Peace.